Welcome back to the Gun Collective Podcast. My name is Jon Patton. As per freaking usual, we've got an amazing guest. And I say amazing every time, and I mean it every single time. But before we get to our guest, who you can see sitting here smiling at you, grinning, look at him. He's beautiful. We got to talk about our sponsors. We have to do it, and it's very special. Of course, we talk about Vertex. Go to vertex.com, vertx.com, and use the code TGC, and you get yourself at least 15% off. They bump that up all the time. You can get yourself some good bags. Like the EDC bags are freaking. Jared, do you have a couple Vertex bags?
Yeah, like 5 or 6. Yeah.
Jared has a bunch of them. I have a bunch. We love them. They're some of the best in the industry. And the code is TGC at vertx.com. And of course, the other sponsor that you guys know and love, Blackout Coffee. We've got one of the owners here. Jared's an owner of the company. I invested in the company personally. And I guess that kind of technically makes me an owner. However,
Yeah.
The point is they've got a new roast. Normally we plug Tenacity, but we're going to switch it up. What's the new roast, Jared?
We just launched today a roast called the Second Amendment Foundation Roast. And like our other coffee, partnerships we have with other 2A groups, the Second Amendment Foundation Roast, if somebody buys a bag, whether it's ground or whole bean or a box of K-Cups, we will donate $2 from each one of those items right back to SAF each month so that they can put that money towards the fight. And, they have well over, I think it's 58 active lawsuits right now suing the federal government.
Boatload.
Yeah, and they've been doing it for 50 years. It's their 50th anniversary. So Blackout said, what way can we help you? And we decided to do a roast for them.
I think that's fantastic. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/TGC. Get yourself some Second Amendment Foundation stuff. They've got a GOA blend. I think you've got an FPC blend. When's the NRA blend coming, Jared? Who? What?
Who?
Again, the link is blackoutcoffee.com/TGC. Use code TGC. Also, check out Tenacity. Check out Jared's 2A blend. Lots of good coffee. We'll get to that again in a few minutes. Jared, how have you been, dude? You've been phenomenal. So freaking busy, man.
Yeah, I've been phenomenal, man. I'm blessed to be able to do what I love for a living and to be able to be around my family more than I ever have before. So even on my worst days, man, I'm happy to be doing what I am, and I just can't complain. I just can't.
I mean, that's the life people chase.
Yeah, and I'm lucky. I constantly remind myself how lucky I am, and this could be gone tomorrow. So I try to live up every day that I'm able to do it.
So you've been in Tennessee for how long now?
We've had the house a little over 14, 15 months. We've been down here full time. Yeah, we bought it right before Christmas last year.
Dude,
we moved down here full time the end of May. So we're coming up on our 1 year full time.
So slow transition to get down there. You've been down there at least through most of this winter. Mm-hmm. How does it compare to the evil Northeast where you were living?
People in Tennessee who are watching this are going to scream at the screen right now, but there is not a winter, so to speak, like we're used to in the Northeast. There isn't. In New England, we measure our feet like you do, our snow in feet like you do in Pennsylvania. We had one snowstorm here. We got like 3 inches of snow, and they shut school down for a week, and it was laughable. It was stunningly laughable. But they just don't have the infrastructure like we do in the Northeast because it doesn't happen a lot here. Like they don't have big plows and sanders, and they still have schools in the district that are on the side of a mountain where no light gets to the road. So they have to close it down for safety's sake for the kids and the buses. But
it's for the children.
Yeah, for the childrens. But I love the winter here, man. I'll take this every day.
Dude, we got a little bit, the winters here in Pennsylvania are very hit and miss. Sometimes we'll get literally no snow at all. And then others, like this year, we had some pretty hefty storms come through. I don't know if I would enjoy not having snow. I don't know.
Dude, I've always hated snow. I hated shoveling. I'm all set. If I never see a snowflake again, it'll be too soon. I'm all set.
That's fair. That's fair. So I think the audience is probably going to want to know what's going on in the 2A world. That's your wheelhouse. I mean, there's so much going on. You're producing an enormous amount of content about it. Give me some highlights here, and we'll just start digging into stuff.
Yeah, so I guess the biggest thing facing the nation at the highest level right now is the bump stock case. The Cargill case was heard by the Supreme Court a couple weeks
Right?
ago.
Yeah, yeah. You did a live stream on the oral arguments really recently.
Yeah, I streamed the whole thing, which was it's like watching paint dry sometimes at the Supreme Court. But I think we I've seen better. Well, I've heard because they don't show live video; it's audio. We've heard better arguments in some gun cases we've had go before the court in the last year and a half, 2 years. This one we kind of got bashed around a little bit, but we'll see. I still think just going by what I guess the temperature in the room was and how certain justices, the line of questioning that they were posing, I still think it's going to be too close to call. We might lose this by one, or we might win it by one. But
Wow.
it wasn't like the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association where we knew we were coming out with a win. It was just a matter of how much of a butt kick in New York would take. This one's going to be tough because they still believe that the bump stock is terrible because of the alleged atrocities that happened in Las Vegas. And of course, we
I
still
like
don't
I
have.
like that you added alleged in there. By the way,
Yeah, man, we
that's
still
very
don't have
important.
any information, right? We don't
Yep.
have any facts from there, and I think that's for a reason. And you can poll many of the people, both you and I know, we run in the same circles with these folks who did decades in the service. They will say that it sounds like a belt fed more than it does a bump stock. But
Mm.
what do I know?
Yeah, it's that case. There's something shady going on. I mean, we've had the last few guests that have been on the show have been all about sort of self-sustainment and not necessarily prepping for the end times, so to speak, but being aware of it at the very least. And things like that definitely point to some quote unquote deep state. I hate that terminology because I
Yeah,
got beaten to death by Trump,
right.
but it's totally that particular case is scary. So the idea with the bump stock thing for people that are not aware is that they're claiming that adding a bump stock to your rifle turns it into magically a machine gun, which is a regulated item by the National Firearms Act.
Right.
So, well, it's actually the Hughes Amendment that regulates that, right? Something like that. I don't
Yes.
quite
Yep.
remember. So
Yeah.
we I don't know if you know this. I got a text from Adam Kraut that same day. Adam and I did a high-speed analysis with high-speed video on that, and I know the Supreme Court has watched it. We proved in that content that this is not a machine gun. That is absurd by the definition of law. That's not a machine gun. What are they saying to try and claim that it is? What's their argument?
Well, the the Solicitor General for the government was just trying to, I guess, make the justices just believe that it is a machine gun. It
What do you mean
didn't
by that?
matter. They didn't. There were no mention about the fact that you pull if you like you pull that trigger and hold it to the rear, it'll fire one round. It's not going to cycle because you're not letting the trigger reset. There was no mention of that. In fact, the attorney for that argued on the Cargill side, I wish he would have said, Your Honor, the gun still resets, the trigger still resets each and every
Yeah,
single
single
time.
function of the trigger.
Yeah,
Wait,
he
that
did
was a
mention
big
it, but it
focus
was
in our video. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, buddy.
yeah, no worries. He did mention it, but it was already after all the lines of questioning and a lot of the what appeared to be like a lot of the justices were making up their minds. It's the information's out there. People still get bamboozled. I mean, the justices, you don't see any of them like actually being pro 2A. They're not out there, at the range or anything like that. So people tend to believe the experts. And when you lean on the ATF as an expert and they can't even feel a strip of Glock, I mean, how are they going to know anything about what really is a machine gun or not? So the line of questioning was frustrating. And if you, the people who were watching it with me, they were very pissed off in the comments, man. And but I guess we'll have to wait until June. It should drop when they give up their ruling before they take off for their summer break. But we'll see what happens.
So maybe we'll have a bump stock celebration at GunCon.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea if anybody, any companies know where some might be, because they can't really have them. But
I mean, 3D printers exist.
yeah, yeah,
I'm not saying 3D print one, but 3D print one. I'm
and
just saying.
most people have a belt loop anyway.
Ah, got him.
Yeah.
So the bump stock case is kind of up in the air right now. We've got some unfortunate, like, man, it's really frustrating to hear that the basics of like single function of the trigger did not get mentioned in oral arguments.
They did a little bit, but what happened is in my
Did they get
opinion,
like steamrolled or something?
they did. Yeah, in my opinion, they got steamrolled. So we were always on the defensive rather than being able to be offensive. And in my world, it affected the way the case could potentially go.
Hmm.
Um, there were some mentions of single pull versus single function, but we never really get a chance, on the good guy squad to hammer that home and make the justices understand what the difference really is. But they get a bunch of they get the briefs and the amicus briefs and all that stuff, so they have read that stuff going into the oral arguments, and they will refer back to that again. So they have that information, but it just would have been great if it was able to be hammered home during the oral arguments.
I agree. I agree. I mean that those can be very powerful.
Yeah,
I don't know. That whole thing is just effing frustrating from the ground up. The idea that they got banned in the first place is absurd.
especially the
Under
way they got
under
banned.
a supposed pro gun president too.
Yeah, yeah, the way they got banned was the worst part about it. A
Yeah.
stroke of a pen administratively, which is not the way this country is supposed to operate. And what happened then by the previous administration has led us to where we are now with the pistol brace ban and frames and receiver redefinition, and now they want to stop private sales. That's led us to where we are now with the federal government leaning on that Chevron deference so bad.
So you just mentioned two cases that are also pretty important. Where's everything with bump stocks? I know people will want an update.
So you mean pistol braces,
What did I say?
bump stocks?
Yes, yes. Sorry, pistol braces.
So pistol braces right now we have still have the injunction that was placed on the different groups,
Okay.
like GOA has one, SAF had one, FPC. Uh, we still have differing circuit courts, so it's primed for a Supreme Court showdown. It just hasn't gotten through the full gamut of the circuit courts. So some of them are, still the three judge panel or the full en banc panel, and they need to complete those before they can be written. The writ of certiorari can be requested from the Supreme Court.
I'll tell you what, if that ends up going all the way, so to speak, for the ban, if that ends up going that far, that's gonna, like, the whole premise with the pistol brace is effing absurd because they're trying to regulate misuse of a product.
Right.
like that's the problem here, is that they're trying to regulate misuse. Like we've both spoken with Alex, and he's like, that's not what this is designed for. It gets used that way, but why regulate it on something that may or may not happen? It's
Right.
ridiculous.
That's like banning cars because some people drive with their left foot on the brake while their right foot's on the accelerator. It's misuse of a motor vehicle, but we don't ban it for everybody. It's
To be
asinine.
fair, that's exactly how a good drifting instructor will teach you how to drive.
Yeah, yeah, but most people aren't on the highways drifting, and if they are, they're really, really good.
I tried it in the Sprinter once; it didn't work out.
It'll roll
So
first.
the pistol brace thing, we've got the injunction. I'm seeing that sort of come back. Like, people are still very weary about that. Do you think your audience is out buying them right now?
Yeah, yeah, I know they are. And I took a pistol braced firearm to Thunder Ranch
Oh, cool.
in the end of the fall so that we could run a rifle class. Myself and Johnny B went up there to train with Clinton, the boys and girls. And I got a few people in the class who were like, "Hey, you can't have that." And I'm like, "Actually, I'm covered by all three injunctions, and the ATF doesn't get to tell you what accessory you can use." So there's
Also, are
still
you a cop? Get the
yeah,
fuck out
yeah,
of here.
right, yeah. But there's still people who just don't know, and they only know what their friends tell them, and oftentimes their friends don't know everything anyway. So If
Dude,
people
I
who are watching and
really
listening, listen to the people who do the work or who are, actually in the game rather than what somebody at the water cooler tells you, because sometimes you get misinformation.
really don't like when people try to put their own fear on you.
Yeah,
Because that's really where all that comes from. Is it's a fear argument of you can't have that because I can't have that. I won't buy one, so you can't have it.
right.
Like, hold on a second. First of all, are you a Fed? Second off, fuck off. Like, I don't like that, man. Just to stay out of my business. Just
Yeah,
as instead of being like you can't have that, be like, you know, hey, how do you have that? I thought those were, you know what I mean? Like, same team. Why are we attacking each other? You fud.
right, right.
So what was the other case you mentioned? I can't remember. I'm blanking.
Chevron deference. So
No, there
Chevron
was
deference.
another like pivotal item that they were trying to ban. So we talked about
We
piston
got
races.
the frames and receivers case,
That
which is
that's yes. Where are we at with that?
that is being re-challenged by the Biden administration. They
Oh,
want,
good.
yeah, they want the government. They want the justices to take that up because at the district level, it was called abhorrently unconstitutional, and
That's
the
wonderful right there. That's good.
much yeah, the way most of the courts work, especially if it's in an unfriendly circuit for the Second Amendment, you'll have like let's go to California, like Judge Benitez, who people call him Saint Benitez. He hasn't met a gun control challenge that he hasn't destroyed, and he calls them unconstitutional. He was using text, history, and tradition for the last 8 years. He's been saying that, and because it's the Ninth Circuit, it's California, right? Majority of the cases are from California. It'll be appealed to the three judge panel, and they'll say like, you can't have things like freedom, so we're going to reinstitute that gun control, and then it'll go to the en banc, and the en banc, which means the full court in the Ninth Circuit, is undefeated. It's like 42-0 in gun control cases. They have never said
Goodness.
that an unconstitutional law is unconstitutional. And that's where we get our stuff to go to the Supreme Court from the
Yeah,
Ninth.
the Ritter Certiorari or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So the Ninth has given us a lot of good cases in the pipeline that's coming for Supreme Court review. You get assault weapon bans, you get magazine bans, pistol or firearm rosters, which some states have. So we're going to have some serious cases approach the Supreme Court in the next year to 3 years. It's going to be good.
I feel like if we start winning cases like that, we need to go out to the California desert where everything is safe and have one of those parties where you fire a bunch of guns wildly into the air. That's the
Yeah.
way. That's how we celebrate that.
Pistol braces and bump stocks abound.
like the old Arab wedding. That's yeah. Less people like almost dying though, because that happens every time. You always see those videos of a guy like spinning around with a machine gun, putting rounds into the ground. It's absolutely terrifying. Just terrifying. So we've got those three sort of pivotal cases. They are kind of all up in the air, so to speak. They're all moving, but not necessarily in a given direction. What other kind of stuff is like big right now in your world? Because I saw there was a 0-9 thing that you guys were talking about recently on your new podcast, which you should
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about.
Our new podcast is called the Liberty Lounge. It's myself, Johnny B, and Anthony from the Armed Scholar. And it's been years and years in the making. We've always said, and we've said the same thing to you before, like when we're at events and we're just chilling out after the fact, just shooting the S. Like these are the conversations that people want to hear, and why don't we put something out? So we finally, did it. We finally just started
Hell yeah.
recording the podcast, and it's done good. I mean, we just launched our 4th episode today. So we have some cool guests lined up. We had Travis Brown last week, who was a former UFC great. He's married to Ronda Rousey. They're really big into the regenerative agriculture now, and they have a huge ranch where they do Wagyu beef. So we had him on, and his talked about his venture into firearms, because he was not always a firearms person either, and now he's
Okay.
into protecting his family. So we get to see what it's like for him. And it was it's pretty cool, to do.
That's
But the
wild.
9-0 thing we talked about that just launched today was the Supreme Court telling the country that you just can't remove any candidate for president, regardless of who it is or what party it is, simply because of feelings. You just can't do it. And the clause that, of course, I'm referring to, the case came out of Colorado. They removed Donald Trump from the ballot because they said he was an insurrectionist, and he's never been charged with insurrection, nor has he been found guilty of insurrection. But they
Wait,
used,
so they used that language in
yeah,
their.
yep,
Oh
yeah, they
wow.
used a very, very rarely known or even used clause that was put into the Constitution to affect or to stop those people who were looking to cause an insurrection from, now depending on what part of the country you're from, you'll call this something different: civil war, war of northern aggression, or the war between the
You
states.
have been in the South a while.
Yeah. So that was put in to stop those people who decided they were going to fight and separate from the country, to keep them from running for office once the country came back together.
And they applied
So
that to Trump.
yes, yeah, because feelings, because we say he started an insurrection, so therefore he must have started an insurrection. So regardless of what candidate you're behind, this decision, what it said was that the states don't get to tell, they don't get to decide who runs for office for the candidate for the presidency. The people, we the people, vote those folks in and out. Not the states don't get to decide who gets to be on a ballot, because it'll change every 4 years based off of the climate of whether it's mean tweets or angry messages from somebody else. So they stomped on that. Many of us knew that was going to happen anyway, but for 9-0, that sent a clear message, because even the most liberal of justices said, "Yeah, you guys can't
Yeah,
do this.
9-0, man. That's wild.
Yeah, that's pretty rare. A unanimous decision from the Supreme Court's pretty rare.
Well, I mean, it's the whole thing is just effing absurd. Like the idea that the states think they can control a federal election is absurd.
Yeah,
That right there is absurd. I mean, the dude is not my favorite candidate out there. I just think this idea that they're trying to speak my truth, that sort of this is my truth,
right.
as if it were everyone's, and as if it were reality. And it's kind of fascinating watching that sort of I don't know, it's a very strange mentality that infected a large part of the population over the last few years, where people
Yeah,
just say, this is what I think, so it is true, and
right.
you
Yeah,
have
you're
to
not
believe it. Hold on,
there.
what?
Yeah, there is one form of truth, and you're not entitled to your own truth. So I don't know where we got that in this country, but yeah, it's time to be tough on kids again and tell them no, and let them realize that they don't get a trophy just for participating, because we need to get our country back.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, speaking of kids, I mean, do you think the school system is completely fucked?
Depending on where you are, Massachusetts, yes, completely fucked, which is why I couldn't run out of there fast enough. Um,
Well,
but the school
for the
team,
record, Jared has a few kids of his own, and yeah, he's got some experience there. So explain what that means.
well, Massachusetts is a deep blue liberal state, and they will indoctrinate your children with everything that you can possibly think of that's wrong with this country right now. So I decided that while my two younger ones were still in school and still of impressionable ages, that I was going to put them in a part of the country which still has values and morals, and doesn't put whatever the teachers' flamboyant beliefs are on the kids. So Tennessee, this it's still America here, and that's why I love it so much.
Why do you think the school system as a whole, and for lack of a better term, I don't like using, liberal and conservative, that side of things, why do you think they want sex in everything? Because that's really what this comes, like, a lot of the arguments come down to, sexual preference. I'm gay, I'm lesbian, I'm LG, but whatever the fuck it is these days. I'm trans, whatever. And really, if you look at it, you simplify that down, it's who you want to have sex with. And I find it effing crazy that they're trying to have children make decisions like that and like change their entire being. It's fascinating. What do you think, man?
I think that mental illness is run amok, especially when it's amplified when you tell people you can't leave your house for 2.5, 3 years, and
Mm-hmm.
people are stuck home. We both know folks who have issues that were amplified during that time.
Oh yeah.
My kids are autistic, and you telling autistic children that they can't go to school nor have any of their treatments because somebody might sneeze or cough, the flu. It affected my children. But the part with why do I think they want sex to be part of everything, dude? I think it's just them maybe pushing their mental illness on other people because it's not checked. That's one of the things I think is wrong with it. Also, it fosters more like-minded voters as you push down as people get older and elections become closer and closer. That's I believe I think I know that's why we have the influx of people coming in the northern and southern border, right? Because you have these millions and millions of people who are going to affect the census. They're not going to be, maybe not all be able to vote right away, but they will affect the census. And the census is how
Yeah.
we get our districts drawn. And our districts are drawn at the state level, and that decides how many people you get to represent you in Congress and at the state level. And that's how you ensure a vote stays the same way when you just have a ton of people who will keep the blue districts growing. It's tough to combat that. So there's a lot of problems that have led us to where we are right now. But I think the good thing is that America's starting to wake up. You're seeing people push back. You're seeing states push back. The whole incident that happened with Riley Gaines and that guy
I'm not familiar.
Riley Gaines was the swimmer from University of Kentucky who was the best in the country, and some dude from Pennsylvania decided he sucked so bad swimming as a man on the men's team for 3 years that he would be a woman for a year, and was crushing everybody for obvious reasons. And NCAA kowtowed to that stuff, and then the country started to push back, and now you're seeing different parts of the country put through laws where Title IX is actually held to actually be a thing. Title IX is where women's sports were protected by Congress, saying, women's sports are for women and men's sports are for men,
I did
and you
not
guys
realize
both
there was
play
a
your
law
own thing.
about that. I had no
Yeah,
idea that existed.
Yep, Title IX, and that's what secured women's sports basically. And now you're seeing states put forth new laws that go back to that. Like if you're a dude, regardless of what you wake up and play make believe, or if you actually believe you can change your biology, that you just don't get to go to the crush the other competition because you change your whatever beliefs, and not to knock at some people who think they are, or they decide they want to be something else, but you just can't destroy what other people say. Like Riley Gaines, she worked her whole life to be as good as she was and to be at the peak physical performance, and it was just destroyed because the NCAA wanted some dude to get the trophy. So
They didn't want to see. I don't believe that they wanted a dude to win. I think they wanted more money from donors that believe in progressive ideologies.
yeah, and then
That
you're
I don't
dealing with
think it has
colleges.
anything to do with outcomes. I don't think it has any. I don't think any of these motherfuckers actually care about the outcome. I don't think they care about the worker, the bottom, the end result of what their policies affect. I think all these people do it 100% for profit.
Yeah, money is always the root of all evil, man. But when you're dealing with colleges, dude, they he was a trailblazer. It took a lot for that guy to get in the pool and crush women, or the 6'9" guy to get in and play women's basketball and destroy all of them, or you see the MMA fighter who's a dude who dresses as a woman and breaks women's faces and orbital bones
Wait,
because
that's
he's
a
much
thing?
stronger. Yeah, that's absolutely a thing, man. Yeah,
Wow.
it's gone crazy. It's gotten out of control, which is why it's good some states are fighting back. It's good.
I just I don't know how to feel about all this stuff, man. I really don't. On one hand, I believe, leave people alone. But the issue I take is when it starts to impede on the rights of others.
That's the whole thing, right?
in favor of what? You know,
Yeah,
what do we stand to gain as a society when every definitive line that we have created to give people opportunity, like we created these groups to give people opportunity, and then we go, fuck it, no definition matters anymore, do whatever you want. And then shockingly, men take over all women's sports. And I'm
yeah.
not
I mean,
saying they
when
are. I'm saying that that's an eventuality. I'm not saying that, you know, that is currently happening. I think there are small instances, like Jared just mentioned. I think there are instances everywhere. I just think the idea of, you know, saying these definitions that we created to define our world, like we as humans need these things, and then this culture of fuck all definitions. What?
yeah,
What?
it's and like, I want people to hear me say this.
Please.
I don't care what you do to yourself, what beliefs you have, but that's for you. The second you push them on somebody else, myself, my children, then I have a problem. Like, you want to sit at home and shoot heroin all day long, that's fine. As long as it's not hurting anybody else, I wouldn't advise it, but you do you, bro. And,
Come on,
do
Jared. I
whatever makes
really like heroin.
do you. But the second you put that on somebody else, that's where you've overstepped a boundary. Um, and it's just we've come so far from where we once were. And if you look at how all the great empires fell, it's kind of similar to what we're going through right now.
Give them bread and circuses.
Yep.
That do you feel like, you know, that there's I think it's what, every 200 years, every major civilization lasts about 200 years and then just
Yeah.
utterly collapses. Do you think legitimately we're in that period?
Oh yeah, we're on the back nine if we don't get things straight real quick.
What do you think we need to do as a society to correct it? Like, is it
Tell
possible?
people tell people they're wrong and don't feel bad for hurting their feelings. There is still right and wrong. There are, you should have some moral character to yourself. You should try to be the best you can be, and not just to be somebody who sits on the couch and wants everybody else to care for you. Welfare is not supposed to be a career. It's supposed to be there to help people who are in dire need of help, not people who willingly choose to do jack shit. We're not supposed to be letting everybody just come to America because, if they want to come here, do it the right way. And and by saying that they're fleeing to make things better, maybe they should stay in their own country and make it better rather than to come here and then vote us the way their country was. It's just America. We need to stop worrying about people's feelings, because nobody in the world cares about our feelings. You think Russia cares about our feelings? They
They
don't.
laugh at us.
Yeah, they don't. You think anybody? We just need to get back to having some morality, and knowing that there is a right and a wrong, and it doesn't matter if people are offended. It doesn't matter.
There was a comedian, and I can't. It was an English comedian. I cannot remember his name. Very famous guy, and he went on a diatribe. This is probably 10 years ago, 15 years ago, about people being offended. And his thing is like, essentially, I don't care if you're offended. And I believe he capped it off with, "Oh, you're offended? Well, so fucking what?"
Yeah,
It's just gold. It's just gold.
yeah. If I offend
Uh,
you, who cares? So, like, don't listen, don't watch. Change the channel, go
right.
out for a walk, go get some
Hmm.
education.
Speaking of going against woke ideologies, Blackout Coffee is a company that their slogan these days is "Stay awake, not woke."
Yes.
And Jared's an owner. I am invested in the company, and I'll tell you what, it is some of the best coffee that I've ever tasted. And not only that, it's made in the United States. Oh, it's roasted in the United States by real Americans and people with real values. And they just came out with the Second Amendment Foundation blend. They've got a bunch of other blends that you should try. And something I feel is very important. It's almost like we're rubbing it in England's face. We make that company, Blackout Coffee, some of the best tea on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, sorry, England, you lost. We won. It's not a thing anymore. Uh, so not that long. It was like a couple months ago or something like that. I was taking care of my mom. She was sick, and I was trying to be a good son. And I said, "Would you like some tea?" She says, "Absolutely." And I made her some of the raspberry tea, which has like little bits of apple and raspberry and hibiscus and all kinds of other, like, it sounds hoity toity. It sounds like you're in Los Angeles. But when you drink it, I said, holy crap, that's amazing. It's fan effing tastic. I do you like tea at all, Jared? Are you a tea guy at all?
I'm not, but I do
That's a
drink
no.
it. Like I try all of our stuff. Like
Sure.
the mango tea we have is
Ooh, the mango's good
phenomenal.
too.
It's the bomb. Like it's ridiculous.
It's a green tea. It's a mango green tea or green tea mango, whatever you call it. That's also very good. I put a little bit of agave in there, little sweetness, little. Oh, so good, dude. Anyway, blackoutcoffee.com/TGC. Also, go over to vertex.com. Use the code TGC. Get yourself a backpack, an EDC bag, maybe some luggage, maybe some apparel, or you can get yourself some storage bags for your vehicle. That's something that I really like having. I've got some in the van. I'm going to get some more for storage. It's a wonderful thing. vertx.com/TGC and get yourself some stuff. Okay, Jared. So you're a longtime shooter. You are one of the larger gun channels out there, arguably one of the most popular right now. And I think you've probably got some neat stuff in your collection. What is the most recent gun you bought?
Yeah, think about that. The
Ooh.
Bull Armory 5-inch SAS 2 TAC Pro is the most recent purchase.
The TAC Pro?
Yes. Yep.
Ooh.
Yep. Good gun.
Okay.
Very, very, very nice gun.
I have one sitting right out of frame. Hold on, let's see if we can see it. It's right there. It's right there. I'm pointing at it. The TAC 5 is one of my favorite. They're going to come to GunCon, actually.
I heard you announced that, and I can't wait because there's so many more things they make that I want to buy.
Dude, everybody that I have told that they're coming is like legit excited about it. Everybody.
Yeah, it's for folks who are listening who haven't shot a bull. Like I haven't until I got this one. It was the first time I've ever shot one. I'm new into the 2011 game. I've loved, like, I've shot staccatos for a while, but I never could get over that sticker shock. And I finally did buy my first 3 staccatos over the last year. And once you go, like, it's like a cheat code. You know, they really, really are great guns.
It's wonderful.
I took my XC, which is the flagship staccato, with the, you know, the ports and everything, the comps part of the barrel and stuff, and I took that to Thunder Ranch. No, I'm sorry, I took
Okay.
that to Valor Ridge, and I did a pistol class at Valor Ridge with Reed Hendricks. Dude, it was a cheat code. Like, there, it was amazing. Like, it was. I shouldn't have been able to use it because it was just. It makes you that much better because the gun is just that much better. And then the comp kills all the recoil anyway. It was great. So I'm on a 2011 kick. So
Okay.
I have too many 2011s already. I have bought 3 staccatos. I've bought both sizes of the Prodigy, the Springfield Prodigy,
Oh,
and now
wow. Okay.
I have the Bull Armory one. So there are a
And
few more that I
the
want.
bull is so good. Sorry, I have to
Yeah,
keep saying
Bulls,
it.
they're phenomenal. Like, they're, if you want, I don't know who's gonna watch this, but if you want like staccato, but you don't want to spend the staccato dollars, go Bull Armory because you'll have the quality, and it's like half of the price. So it's a great place to be to find that happy medium.
Dude, I don't know when I got the first one. It was probably a couple years, 2, 3 years ago, something like that. They called me and said, "Hey, do you want to do a review on our stuff? We've got a new like Glock type pistol and the Cherokee, which is like a CZ75 family, you know, that
Yep.
sort of clone." Because they Bull Armory for many years made the Magnum Research Baby Eagle.
Yeah.
That was produced by Bull Armory, so they've been making guns in America for a long time. But The Cherokee was okay, and the Glock thing was okay. It's not my favorite. And then I shot the TAC 5, and I can't stop falling in love with that gun over again. And they are not paying for any of this. Like they don't even know I'm saying any of this. It is one of my favorite guns, and I've got some fancy shit, and I'm telling you, that thing is so much better. So the new one, I just talked about the new one. I didn't realize this until after the episode aired. The new TAC 5 Pro with the ports. The TAC 5 is now a steel frame gun, so it's even heavier.
Yeah.
So it's even easier to control. Okay,
Yeah, it's
so
crazy.
you bought yourself a fancy one. What other kind of stuff are like? You don't talk about actual like products on the channel all that often. What's like
Yeah.
your top 3 for like EDC out there right now?
So depending on what I'm wearing, my tip like 99% of the time I'm rocking my Staccato CS for my EDC. I
Okay.
love that gun. Love it, love it,
What
love
what
it.
is which one is the CS?
It's their concealed their EDC gun, their small
It's
four
like a three and a
point
quarter inch.
yeah, three and a quarter, 3.5 inch, whatever the hell.
Okay.
It's the smallest one they make. And it's chef's kiss. It's a great, great gun. Um, so I'm usually either rocking that, or lately I've been throwing a Glock 19 in. Like I bought a new fanny pack from Galco that
Okay.
has this presentation thing. You have to pull a drawstring and it pulls the gun straight up if you don't want to reach in and grab it. It was pretty cool. So I usually, if I'm wearing that, then I'm usually have my Glock in there. And I try to have some type of long gun in my direct vicinity at all times. And lately, I've had I have a PTR MP5 clone,
Okay.
depending on the vehicle I'm in or the bag that it's going in, or one of my ARs. Mostly my Sig Virtus. I love that gun.
Jared is a little bit of a SIG whore. He won't. I don't know if he'll
A
admit
little
it,
bit,
but
little bit, little bit.
a little bit of a SIG whore.
Which is
Uh,
shocking because if people who watch my channel, they would always say I was a Glock fanboy because I'd always report on the lawsuits that Sig was facing because of issues with the 320 or the 365 when it first came out. Little did they know I've literally dumped like 10K into buying Sig products, probably more than that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I like them. They some of the stuff they have is phenomenal. It really is.
So, do you think SIGs are still what's the right phrase here? Not what they say they are in terms of the 320 going off in weird times. I don't know how to phrase that. Where like they have
I'll tell you.
active lawyers.
I'll tell you. As long as incidents still happen, then there is still an issue, whether it is inherent in the design or it's inherent in the dope who has it on their body. But I have seen actual video of some that would make me say there might be a problem with that firearm, that individual one. And I've seen some that would make me say that person shouldn't have done what they did because they put themselves in an unsafe environment that could lead to a negligent discharge. So, in the interest of fairness, without getting a cease and desist or a letter sent to me, I don't know, dude. There's been a lot of lawsuits lodged, and a lot of them SIG has been found not responsible in.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I just
I
there
think
was a
Six
lot of
PR team does a shitty job of managing the situation.
yeah. I used to go there a lot, and when I go there, people who have been up in Epping, New Hampshire, and stuff, there were people in the pro shop that when I went there, I always got the side eye, like there's that asshole again. But then there were some that were like, "Hey, man, you're just doing what you're supposed to be doing, reporting," and they get it. I'm not looking to destroy the company, but I want people to be aware that if there was an issue, pay attention, and make up your own mind with the facts. But the facts have come out in the lawsuits in court that have vindicated SIG. So uh, take that for what you will, but there are still some incidents that make people go,
Yeah, I've seen a couple. I've seen a couple that make me go, hmm. I don't know. I only have one 320, and it's the like ultra fancy one. So
I think I have
I don't know.
I think I have 4 or 5. I've sold a few when I
Somebody
left
keep a
Massachusetts.
tally of how much money he's sharing here.
I've gone on, like, my wife, if she can hear me right now, she'll cheer through the floor. But when I left Massachusetts and got to free America, I went on a craze. Like, I bought things that we just couldn't have in that state because they turn you into a sniper, or turn you into an assassin, or they're evil. So, like, I bought three cans the day I was. The day I had my license in hand, I went and bought 3 cans here in of course
What
you
did,
can't have
what
those
did
in
you buy?
Massachusetts. I have the Sandman S and the Sandman K, and then I bought the Omega 36M.
Okay,
So I got
that's an interesting selection. Why like mostly 30 cal stuff? Why not like 22 can or something like that? Why'd you get those?
because initially these ones are going to be living on rifles. So now my next line will be maybe 1 or 2 pistol ones. I don't. I mean, I do have a couple 22 rifles, but they're AR platforms, and
Mm,
I just don't. I'm not going to run a can on them. I'm just not, because like they're small and I keep them in things. But yeah, I'm gonna buy the next one. I want is maybe a Huxworks. I want something that's flow through,
okay.
just to have that different type of can, and see where we go from there. I want some of those 2-day turnarounds though from ATF.
Yeah, no kidding. What the hell happened? How did that even happen? It just started, you started seeing people's forums with the dates almost within a week of each other. What the hell happened?
I don't know. I was on the website today actually, because I called my FFL to see if he's seeing any of those quick turnarounds, and he's not. But on the website, it says that Form 4s are 12 days right now. So for
Holy
them to
shit.
say it's even on their website, then if you've been looking at trying to get one, maybe get one now. But from what I mean, if you go down Reddit and do that deep dive, it looks like most of the shorter times are through something like a silencer shop or something like that, where they're plugged in and they
Mm.
just do it all automatically, versus your local guys and gals. At least that's what it seems like if you're going on Reddit.
That's
I didn't really.
honestly, that's fucked up if that's the case. They're getting preferential treatment if that's the
Yeah,
case.
if that's the case, yeah, you would think that, right?
Yeah, no, like I mean, I don't know. It makes sense. First of all, I think it's very clear that none of this should even take this long. It should be instantaneous.
Shouldn't even have to do it. Like,
Yeah,
paying two
yeah,
hundred
yeah,
dollars
fair.
doesn't
Yeah,
make something safer.
cash and carry. Can you
Yeah,
imagine?
exactly.
Can you imagine how much money the suppressor industry would make in its first month if they got rid of that part of the regulation?
Dude, it'd be phenomenal.
I mean, it would light the industry on fire. Even if you had to fill out a 4473, people would line up around the fucking block. There's no
Yeah,
chance. Like,
because
I can't even fathom it.
most people don't go through the process because they don't want to be, on the ATF list, even though we're all on every list anyway, guys and gals.
Right,
But they don't want
right.
to wait a year or plus. They just don't want to have it dragged out, because a right delayed is a right denied, and rightfully so. Just like, even for SBRs, if I give you $200, it doesn't make it safer. So what's the whole reason? It's just a cash grab. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, ugh. Is it? Do you think we have a chance of like a resurgence of the Hearing Protection Act? Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, we do. It's just going to be when the makeup of Congress and the Senate are a little more favorable. But
Mm,
yeah, even this year in this session, we have bills from a couple congressmen who are working with GOA. We have one to remove SBRs from the NFA. We have one to remove short-barreled shotguns from the NFA. So they're trying. They're doing it. You just need to have a favorable makeup so that it actually moves out of committee.
sure. So
Because
I
ultimately,
want
like,
to.
they're losing millions of dollars is what it's going to come down to, and no business wants to lose money. So you'll probably
You know
not
what
see
though?
them.
I think they would make up for that in excise taxes. Like
Yeah,
if these got regulated as firearms, just regular firearms, I think they would easily make up for that in excise taxes in the first year, like
yeah,
millions
yeah.
and millions of dollars in excise taxes. So
It could.
that level of argument is not my favorite, but I get it. Like the federal government doesn't like losing money; they like giving it away to
Yes.
other countries and other useless things.
Yeah, they steal from you and me and give it to their child Zelensky.
Yeah, yeah. And the Pentagon likes to lose it, just lose it.
Yes. Yes. And never held accountable.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Never, never. And how could you? Like, how could you hold the whole Pentagon liable for this? Like, like, can you imagine if you were the guy that lost that money and like they're never going to do anything. Nothing's going to happen. Because what are
True.
they going to
It
do?
could.
Slap you on the wrist? They're not going to put you in prison for that.
Well, that's how you make things change, right? You hold that person responsible, throw them in the brig, and then whatever money they couldn't account for, you cut that out of their budget times 3. Maybe make
Yeah,
a
but that's
make a
like
statement.
losing their entire budget for a couple
Oh
years.
well.
I mean, I
around and
get
find out.
it. Okay. So we talked a little bit about your podcast. I want to learn about it because I want you to have an opportunity to talk about what you got going on there. Everybody's familiar with the Guns and Gadgets channel. Where is the Liberty Lounge being posted? And is it video? Is it audio? Tell me about it.
So we got both. Obviously, we're doing it for the audio format because it's a podcast. So anywhere you can download podcasts, Apple Music or Spotify, it's on all of them. We also do have a YouTube channel for those who would rather watch the audio, the video format. We have that as well. It's
Sure.
called the Liberty Lounge.
Oh, that's a good name for the Liberty
Yeah,
Lounge.
and what the goal is. So all 3 of us, Johnny, Anthony, and myself, we all have channels that have been, kind of in their own lane for years. Myself, I've been doing this for a
Okay.
decade. Johnny's been doing it for almost that long, and
Oh my
Anthony's,
gosh.
I think, 5, 6. I don't know how long Anthony. 5 years maybe for Anthony. So what we found out is, and yourself too, like if you go totally off of what the majority of your audience expects for a topic, then you kind of alienate your base. For instance, if I started to talk about making blueberry muffins all the time, the people who are coming to Guns and Gadgets Second Amendment News would get pissed off and unsubscribe and write me off. So
Okay.
what this podcast allows us to do is to venture a little more outside of our, what our channels are known for, yet still
Talk about muffins.
be able to talk about more stuff. Like we want to talk about more things in the freedom world that affect America as a whole, like we did throughout this whole podcast. But if we did that on our individual channels, it wouldn't do well. So this is a new platform where we can talk about protecting yourself with Travis Brown, and at the same time talk about self-sustainability with raising your own cattle. It's an area where if I talked about raising your own Wagyu beef on my channel, I'd lose people, right? Because they don't really care about that on my channel. They're there for other reasons. So it gives us a way to like we were talking earlier, like when we're sitting around a campfire at an event and we're talking about what affects us all, we can do that on this podcast without alienating our bases. So it just gives us another outlet to talk about that. Plus, we're all friends and we get to do something that we truly love and do it with people we truly love, which makes it even better.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited for you. I think it'll be great. It's funny to me because you're talking about the sustainable farming and that sort of thing. And the last couple of guests, I've been sort of deviating from. I had the guy from PSA come on, and then the guy following him was a guy that's talking about like how big food in America, like the big food corporations, are ruining the country, and he's pushing back and telling his story. And then the guy after that was all about communications and self-sustainability. And it's interesting that independently, like we haven't talked in a while. I haven't talked to you about your podcast at all yet, but it's like we're just moving in a similar direction in that way. And I find it fascinating because what that means is that we're all tracking what the hell's going on here. We're all going,
Oh yeah,
okay, we need to talk
absolutely.
about this more.
Yeah, man, we're all interested in securing our freedom with the Second Amendment, right? But there's so much more to what's affecting our freedom than just that facet. There's so much more that our government's doing that people know about, want to have more information about, and want to hear people actually talk about it. So that's one of the
That's
things
right.
we look about doing.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I'm excited about it. I need to, like, every morning, you know this, I call you in the morning sometimes. I need to pop on a Liberty Lounge and start listening to it. What are the first 3 episodes about? You're talking about your 4th one. What's the first 3?
Uh, well, I'd have to look at our list because I do 2
Well, get your
videos a
shit
day.
together.
I do so many videos, man. Everything just pushes together.
What are you up to, like 14 a week still? Are you doing that much?
I've pulled it back a little bit, so it's like 10 to 12.
Insanity.
Yeah, it's
Insanity.
crazy. It is what it is. Unfortunately, the government infringes so damn much that there's that much content out there that people need to know about. But I wouldn't be able to do what I do if there wasn't that much content out there. So I'm just blessed to be able to do what I love.
I don't disagree. It's rad, man. I'm excited about it. Obviously, guys, you need to go subscribe to that YouTube channel or subscribe to the podcast,
Or
whatever
both.
you want to do. Yeah, there you go. I like that angle. Subscribe to both. Is there anything else you want to plug? I mean, you got more subscribers than all of TGC's things combined.
I want to plug GunCon. You are doing something
There we go.
phenomenal. And people should, if people can make it, if they can get a ticket, because tickets will go on sale soon. I strongly suggest you check out the newest version of GunCon. This is the third year, right?
Yeah,
Everything
third year.
running together. Third year.
By the time this comes out, the tickets may be on. The tickets are going on sale March 26th at 6 p.m. I'm not sure if this is coming out before or after that. I have to look. But good luck getting a ticket. I'll say that.
Yeah. Jump on it. If you're listening to this, as I'm saying this, go to the website and grab a ticket if there's one available, because it will sell out. It always does.
Yeah, I was not expecting the level of support that we got in the previous 2 years, and I can only hope that this continues as we continue to grow. Jared, it's been awesome, man. Thank you for giving me your time. I really appreciate it, man. I love your take on all this stuff. You know, the way you come at things is so like grounded in morality and freedom. I love it, man. I love it. So thank you.
Thank you, brother. Pleasure's mine.
Yeah, for sure, guys. All right. Check out our sponsors, Blackout Coffee and Vertex. The code is TGC on both of them. Go use that code. Buy some damn coffee. Buy yourself a bag. Maybe some apparel. Maybe some vehicle storage. What's your favorite blend right now, Jared, from Blackout Coffee?
Blueberry crumble is ridiculous. If you like blueberry muffins, get it. Trust me. You'll love it. You'll be hooked. I am your dealer.
Wow. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Thanks again, Jared. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening and watching.